If you play Black Ops 7 or Black Ops 7 Ranked Play on PS5, then this is the ultimate video for the best settings and the best gear to put yourself ahead of the competition. I recently got my hands on a new monitor. This one is the MSI MPG 271QR QD OLED X50, and as the name suggests, this monitor is a beast. When we're talking the PS5, it features VRR and 120Hz refresh rate, but on PC, this thing goes up to 500Hz and has a ton of other cool features that we'll talk about later. And I got inspired to make this complete video when I realized how many people are missing out on fully optimizing their PS5. But before we get into the hardware, let's talk about the PS5 itself going into the PS5 settings. You want to go to the top right of the screen to the cog wheel where it says settings. Starting under the accessibility tab, you're going to want to scroll down to controllers, then haptic feedback during console navigation, and make sure that this is on. A lot of these PS5 and PS5 controller settings will be from a YouTuber named Daniel ZH. I'll leave his link in the description down below. He goes way more in depth on a lot of these things, specifically regarding controller input delay, and is a way smarter guy than me, so if you're focused on the intricacies, definitely check him out. From there, we can back out of the accessibility tab, scroll down to system, then go to HDMI, and make sure that enable HDCP is turned off. This setting can cause there to be some input delay, so you want to make sure that it's turned all the way off. And if you are a streamer or record your gameplay and using Elgato or something like that, it needs to be off. So just do yourself a favor and make sure that the setting is gone. Up next, you want to scroll all the way down to screen and video. Here for the video output, you want to make sure that the same output from your monitor is what's matching on the screen right here. For my new MSI monitor, we're keeping this at 1440p, but you want to make sure you adjust this depending on what your monitor is. Also, when it comes to monitor resolution, lower does not always mean better. Previously in Call of Duty games like Modern Warfare 3, the game actually renders at 4K and then downscales it to like 1080p. So technically back then, the fastest way to play on PS5 was at native 4K. On Black Ops 7, we're still waiting on the testing, but I have heard that it's better to play on either 1440 or 4K compared to 1080p and BO7, at least for the PS5 Pro. Waiting on testing for the base PS5. Like I said, you can watch Daniel ZH's channel for that. And here's where we're talking about some really important stuff. When it comes to VRR, you want to set this on automatic. Some people worry that if you can't do ALLM, then you're missing out on something. I'm going to tell you that's not the case. Based on how it's described, ALLM will be enabled while you're using VRR. Here, our VRR is enabled, or it's at least on automatic. So that's not a problem. And as long as your monitor or TV has like a game mode or an FPS mode, you're in the clear for that. That being said, you also want to scroll down to the 120Hz output and make sure that this is on automatic as well. And then scrolling down even further in the video output settings, we have HDR. This is personal preference. It doesn't really impact your input delay too much. If you like the look of it, use it. If you don't worry about it. For me, the way HDR impacts my Elgato, it makes the stream not look as good, so I keep HDR off. And then I have these final two settings on automatic. Backing out of screen and video, you can go to accessories. I go to general, then advanced settings, and I turn Bluetooth completely off. It takes away some of the input delay if you're really sweaty and care about that type of thing. If you're more of a casual gamer and prefer playing on Bluetooth anyways, it's not necessarily a problem. Backing out of this menu, we'll then scroll down to controller, and then communication mode is use USB cable. The reason that is grayed out is because, of course, I have my Bluetooth turned off. But if you don't have yours turned off, this is where you'll go in here and you'll select this method anyways to use USB cable. One thing that we need to talk about as well for communication method and USB cables is which USB slot to actually use on the PS5. And you do want to make sure that you have it in one of the USB 3 ports. So any of the ones that have like blue on the back of them. For the base PS5, those are the ones on the back, or I believe the USB-C one on the front. Just avoid using that USB 2.0 that's on the front for plugging your controller in. And one more thing for PS5 controllers before we're done. This is only for people who aim and shoot with L1 and R1, so the tops of the controller. For me, I use the top ones. This is because I play claw and shooting with these is more comfortable for me. But it's actually better for input delay to change L1, R1 in the custom button mappings, which you can see I do here on the bottom of the screen. This is faster for input delay compared to the in-game swap of L1, R1, L2, R2. Now let's back out of the accessories tab. You want to go to save data and game app settings, then scroll down to game presets. Make sure that performance mode or resolution mode is set to performance mode. This is to make sure that your PS5 is optimizing like frame rate and input delay rather than something like graphic quality, which isn't as important if you're playing a multiplayer shooter. And before we get into the Call of Duty app, you want to hover over the app, press the start button, go down to power saver for games, and make sure that use power saver is turned off. This can really make your game underperform, so like I said, make sure that you have that off. And before we get into the hardware, let's talk about controller settings and in-game Black Ops 7 settings. I'm going to skim over the more subjective settings like my sensitivity. I won't go too in depth on that. You want to go to your dead zone inputs and make sure they're as close as possible to this as you can. The important ones are going to be as low as possible for the left stick min and the right stick min, and then the left stick max you want down in the range of 60 to 70, and then right stick max anywhere from 95 to 99 is best. The key part is keeping your right stick min as low as possible without getting any stick drift, and this is dependent on the controller, so this setting on yours might be different than mine, but the rest of them you should probably keep the same for dead zones. Under the aim aiming tab, go to aiming advanced settings, aim response curve type, make sure this is on dynamic, ADS sensitivity transition timing, make sure this is on instant. I don't mess with the custom sensitivities. Scrolling down here, I have corner slice off, wall jump assist off, slide dive and behavior, I have this on hybrid. Under the combat tab, body shield only, and those are all the controller settings. Under graphics, again, we have 120 hertz refresh rate on. We went into the PlayStation settings and make sure this was enabled as well. Gamma and brightness, this is personal preference. Eco mode, make sure this is off. Under quality, you want to make sure that your weapon motion blur and your world motion blur are both set to off. Depth of field is also off. Fidelity cast is something that can impact input delay, and the sweet spot is going to be on at a strength of 50. Higher will make your game look sharper, but can add some frame drop, which will lower your input delay. And then too low doesn't really help at all, and all the way off doesn't really help at all. So like I said, the sweet spot is going to be on at 50. For on-demand texture streaming, if you have packet burst or something like that, you can mess with this. I kind of like the feel at optimized and large, but I don't think this one has too much of an impact on the game. Next, going over to view, I have my FOV on 100. I just recently changed this and I'm actually enjoying it a good bit, so try 100. Weapon field of view wide, and then the remaining of the settings here. Under audio, these are my audio settings here. I don't mess with the enhanced audio mode, and actually don't mess with the PlayStation specific audio settings. That's because I listen through my Elgato in my PC. We'll talk about that later. I have headphone bass boost on. Asymmetrical hearing, make sure you have that on. Configure frequency intensity. That's what that looks like for the left channel and the right channel. They should match. This will make the game sound a little bit more crisp. Reduce tinnitus sound, I have this on, and hit marker preset is classic. It sounds a lot better. You should definitely rock that. Under the interface settings, this is what my global looks like. Under readability, you can go to color customization, do filter 2 both with a world of 80. Up next, for gameplay HUD, I turn the widget up by like 0.1 to make the minimap a little bit bigger. You can also scroll down to crosshair lines and crosshair dot, make sure those are both on static. And then that is my crosshair color right there. And then the last in-game settings are going to be here under account and network. You want to scroll up to, where is it? You want to scroll to dismemberment and gore effects and make sure that this is turned off. This will help alleviate some frame drops on console as well and have the game running really smooth. So now, which monitor is best for PS5? And thanks to MSI for sending me this monitor. I can share all the reasons that I've been loving playing Black Ops 7 ranked play on this monitor. Again, the MSI MPG 271QR QD OLED X50. Number one, it's OLED, so it looks incredible. On top of that, I'm able to play at 2K resolution with VRR enabled to really minimize the input delay. Speaking of the input delay, the monitor input lag is only 1.5 milliseconds. And this is perfect again for console players because there's actually a console mode featured on the monitor, including HDMI 2.1, so you have the full bandwidth and all the capabilities that you need. Going to the monitor settings here, we can scroll down to HDMI 2.1 and make sure that it's on console. And scrolling through some of these other settings, there's some really cool AI features like AI crosshair, AI vision, and this one is my favorite setting for people that care about OLED and panel health and stuff like that. But you turn this one on, and then there's adaptive dim that allows the monitor to use this sensor right here to see if you're looking towards or away from the monitor. With OLED, burn-in is something that you do have to worry about. So you'll see if I turn away from the monitor like this, the monitor will slowly dim and get more dark, whereas when I turn towards it, it will brighten back up again just like that. If OLED burn-in is a worry, they have a 3-year burn-in warranty with this monitor. But let's go into some of these monitor settings that you'll want to have on no matter what monitor that you have. You want to scroll down, make sure that you find an FPS mode or a gaming mode or something like that and have that enabled. This ensures the lowest input delay and that your game will look as good as possible. You can mess with the brightness as well. This specific monitor has image enhancement, color temperature, blue light. You can also kind of look at what the other modes look like. Premium color, that maybe prioritizes the look of it more than FPS, which prioritizes how it performs. And that's really the main setting that you want to make sure your monitor or TV has, either an FPS or a gaming mode, and make sure that that's enabled. MSI is also running a bundle with Resident Evil Requiem. So a monitor like this one, as well as a review, will get you a PC code for the Resident Evil Requiem game. Check out the link in the description for all of this down below, as well as, of course, the monitor that I'm using for Black Ops 7 ranked play. Here's a good time for us to talk as well about whether it's worth it to have a pro controller like a SCUF or a regular PS5 controller or even the DualSense Edge. And specifically when it comes to input delay for people that play on PS5, the lowest controller input delay possible on a PS5 is through the DualSense Edge communicating via USB cable. Every single other controller will be a little bit slower. We're talking like 250 hertz compared to 1000 hertz, which might be worth considering depending on how much you place on input delay and controller input delay. For me, I'm sponsored by SCUF. They're also my preferred controller, and I play great on USB cable even if there's a slight delay compared to the DualSense Edge. Also, if you have a DualSense Edge and you're looking for the best stick curves, these are the ones that I used to use as steady -5 for the left. I didn't mess with the right stick because I didn't want to mess with the aiming stick at all. And one question I get all the time while I'm streaming is how I'm able to hear PS5 PS5 audio as well as PC audio. And nowadays, a lot of people have both, especially live streamers. So I'm going to be going over my specific audio setup, which does include an Elgato and an Astro mix amp, but does not include like an Astro adapter or anything to add an optical cable to the PS5. So to listen to PS5 audio through your PC, you want to type in change system sounds on your Windows bar, then go to the recording tab. Then you need to find your Elgato on here. For me, it's my Elgato 4K Pro Audio. Right click on that, hit properties, then go to listen. Click on listen to this device and make sure you're choosing your output device that's connected to your PC. For me, it's my Astro mix amp. You also might be able to mess with the levels and like some of the advanced stuff here as well, but I just do listen to this device. And that's all you need if you have an Elgato. It's truly that easy. You don't need to add any extra adapters or anything like that. And that is the complete guide to the ultimate console setup for Black Ops 7 and Black Ops 7 Ranked Play. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.